Facilities and Education Committee's meeting in this beautiful September day. Can I just do the convener's opening statement to begin with, and then we'll go on to declarations of interest and roll call. Can I welcome everyone to this meeting of the Clyde Council's Communities Part of the Education Communities meeting. This meeting has been held remotely and also in person, and will be filmed and recorded for live and subsequent broadcast available through the Council's website. The Council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and Data Protection Act 2018. We broadcast and record Council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic process. Data collected during the process will be retained in accordance with the Council's published procedures, available through the Council's website. Members of the Council are reminded that they should follow the Council's established rules protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and that the comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have also received invites to this meeting. So with that, can I move along to apologies and declarations of interest?
Here we have apologies from Councillor Wilson, Councillor Brooks substituting, Councillor Daisley with Councillor Crowther substituting, and when we go into the education business, we have apologies from Reverend David Burke. We'll now move to an attendance roll call before proceeding to declarations of interest. And the following members please indicate if they are present at the meeting either in person or remotely. Councillor Armstrong.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Brennan.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Brooks.
In chamber.
Councillor Clougherty.
In chamber.
Councillor Crowther.
Present in chamber.
Councillor Law.
Present remotely.
Councillor McGuire.
Present.
Councillor McVeigh.
In chamber.
Councillor Moran.
In the chamber.
Councillor Quinn.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Robertson.
Present in the chamber.
Are there any declarations of interest?
Convener, just item number 5, I'm on the Isle of Lord, I choose to stay. Thank you.
Right.
Under Clyde Leisure Waterstones.
And again, myself, Dan, and quite legible. And again, as the Council would say, any other declarations of interest? With regard to agenda number 5, can we agree to move that to the end of public business? And then to have one, okay? Yeah. And with that, can we move along to item number 2, which is the community's revenue budget. And I assume what Ian's would be it.
I'll take that, convener, please.
Oh, okay, thanks, Ed.
Okay, thank you. This is the regular revenue monitoring report for the community side of the committee. The report outlines the final outturn for 22-23 as well as the projection for the current financial year. The outturn for 22-23 was an underspend of 34k, which was broadly in line with what we reported to committee in May. More detail is provided in section 3.3 and 3.4 of the report. The latest projection for the current year is an underspend of 391,000. But it should be noted that this underspend is mainly due to underspends in utilities relating mainly to Inverclyde leisure properties, and that's a result of some reduced rates. This excess budget will be returned to inflation contingency, so it can't be used, it's ring-fenced. Committee is asked to note the final outturn for 22-23 as well as the current projection for 23-24, and is also asked to approve veerment as outlined in section 3.7 and appendix 5. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Questions? Possibly just one for myself, Mary. It's just when you say the overspend will be referred to contingency. We don't keep the overspend within the education and communities for revenue purposes to cross revenue the education account.
Yeah, through convener, no, not on this occasion, because the reason for the underspend in utilities is because at the point in which the responsibility came to us from Inverclyde Leisure for these utilities costs, it was a higher rate. The rate is now dropped, so it's basically a windfall, so it gets returned to the centre.
Thanks, Dave. If there's no other questions, Tommy, sorry.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Just on Inverclyde Leisure, the 400 case unions here, be confident that's going to be enough over the next period.
I'll ask Tony to answer that first. Tony?
Yeah, at the moment it is sitting there for in order for them to use as part of the smoothing as because of loss of income. There's no indication at this time that it won't be sufficient. But we'll keep those.
Thank you. Any other further questions? No, can we agree to report?
Great.
Great. Can we move to agenda item number 3, which is the capital programme? Can I ask Hugh to introduce it first of all, and then Eddie to come in and agree? Hugh.
Afternoon, convener. Thanks very much. This is the standard report that we do on the capital communities budget side of it. For any projects that's live at the moment from the council side, and only external funding projects that's been partly funded by ourselves or external funders. At the present moment, the budget is 3.6 million, and we're projected to spend that budget. This year, which was projected to spend a budget of 1,376 in 23, and we're not reporting any slippage at the moment. I'll take you through some of the projects that's live. As you say, Eddie's there to give more technical information on this. Just on the levels and sections, there's a number of pictures there, but Eddie can give more detail on that. The waterfront mobile floor, I'm delighted to say that that will start next Monday, and the water will start to be drained from the pool at the weekend, and that work will start to go on. You see within the report is that we've put in a robust operational plan to minimise impact on customers and swims, which includes extra hours at Glasgow Pool, Gourock Pool, which will be contained operatively through the month of October. This will be contained within Inverclyde Leisure's staffing costs, and also we will appreciate that due to the underspend that we've already got for facilities, that we'll be able to cover the facility costs going forward for this month only. King George, again, there's a report there. They'll give you more technical details on where we are with King George. And the next thing is just on the external partner agencies, Bank Street Scouts, on behalf of them in partnership with the council, we put in for a regeneration capital fund. We should hear in the next week or so if they've been successful to go to a stage 2, and if they're successful to go for stage 2, that needs to be in by the end of November, and we'll find out if they are successful sometime early 2024. Partly Branston Out Centre is the work is now starting to go. All the groundworks are starting to work away, and we're looking for a completion date on that spring 2024. Just an update on the asset transfer work that we're doing at the moment. As you know, we've got a group told by Mr. Hewen, and we just look at that through a number of things that's live, and you'll see that within the report. I'll just give attention to Crawfordburn Centre. There is several interested parties in this facility through either a long-term let or an asset approach, and we're working closely with both organisations to get that commenced, and our paper will probably go to ENR in the near future. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you, Hugh. Eddie, have you got anything you want to add just now, or do you wait for questions?
Just a couple of wee brief ones, convener, if that's okay, through you. On the leisure pitches, the work at the Lady Octavia 5-a-side, what is currently on site to replace those carpets, that's progressing. And Hugh's covered the update on the waterfront pool movable floor replacement, and the community hub King George. The update that's in there is accurate, other than they've now poured both of the concrete slabs in the internal of the existing building and the new extension, so it has moved on a wee bit since that update as well.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. I'll open up to any questions. I've got Graham first and then Tommy.
Thanks so much. It's just on 3.10, Crawfordburn Community Centre. There's contrary information in the public domain, so I was wondering if you can clarify, has there been agreement with either of the parties, or are both requests, if that's the right phrase, still live and will be decided by either the legal process set down with the Scottish Government or decided by a committee within Inverclyde Council? Where are we with the two applications?
Hugh, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, for yourself, convener. First application, we've now received a formal request and it's with our legal services at the moment. I'll just making sure that it meets the criteria for a farmer's request. The second one is an internal discussion for a long-term let with Inverclyde Leisure, and both of these are still in discussion at the present moment. We will make a decision on the council will make a decision on the asset transfer if it meets the criteria going forward.
Thank you.
Can I bring Tommy and then Lynn? Tommy?
On the Pine Roads, where are we on the project? With that, please.
Is that a question on that? Yeah, through convener. I think I heard that in terms of the budget, there is pressure on that budget, and I think we've kind of provided verbal updates and some text in previous committee reports indicating that. I mean, the programme has extended significantly, so at some point we expect that will require additional funding, and it's likely to be subject to a future report to this committee and potentially a call on the contingency held by policy and resources.
Thank you. I think that would be good to have it in the next meeting, convener, a financial update where we are with that, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Would that be possible at that stage yet for an update to this committee and then an answer to PNR?
We will be able to provide a better update to the next committee, but given that we're projecting for final completion into the first quarter of next year, we will not have a final projection at that point, no.
An update from it?
I don't have a projection. Can I have an estimate, please?
There'll be an estimate, but as I say, it'll be subject to the full completion of the project, as always.
I think Tommy knows nobody likes giving estimates just in case they go wrong, but I think Eddie's taking that on board, so hopefully we'll get more information and a sense of what direction we're going to in the next meeting. Lynn?
Yeah, thanks. I've just got a quick question under 3.6, the replacement of the floor at the water fund. It's just to ask who's responsible for the communication of what's going on there to the members of the public. I know there was a bit of confusion previously when we changed the free swimming about the notification, because I know it's a council project for Inverclyde Leisure and manage the facility, so it's who's taking responsibility for the communication of what's going on with the works and the transfer and making sure the public know to go to Gourock and not the water fund, and also when they're being opened. Thanks.
I'll bring Hugh in, but we've also got PJ on the call as well, so it might be a point of PJ listening to this as well. Hugh?
For yourself, convener, Inverclyde Leisure are responsible for making sure that the customers are aware of all the changes, and I'm understanding they've sent out a media campaign already around a social media campaign around this, making everybody aware, and there'll be more over the next few days as the work starts next week. But Inverclyde Leisure is responsible for that. We're also working with our own internal corporate team to make sure that we also put stuff out Inverclyde Leisure puts out.
Lynn?
Yeah, so I think Inverclyde Leisure will communicate with the users and the swimming customers, but I'm talking about the kind of wider public, so someone may be turning up to Gourock Pool and will get in because of the changes, so it's more that wider public, what's going on with the pool, which I'm not sure Inverclyde Leisure will cover that there. There's more a direct communication to their customers, which are kind of two different groups.
My understanding for yourself, convener, my understanding that Inverclyde Leisure has put it out to the public domain about the operation of the next month within that, and obviously, but something I'll take back to them today with, and I'll speak to PG on that too, to see if we can get more information out as soon as we possibly can.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any other questions? If there are no other questions, can we agree the report? Thank you. The next report is the update report. Is going through it, but I'm not a lot of information in this, so I'll pass you over to Tony. Firstly, there'll be questions on it. Tony.
Thank you, convener. I don't intend to go through every part of the report. As you say, there is a lot in here to update the committee with. I suppose just some of the key things around the emergency powers report, which has already been signed. This is coming for information, obviously, in terms of the summer activity funding. In terms of the school crossing patrol, which we normally bring to committee if there is a change to any of the crossing patrol sites, we what's in there at 3.8 at Inverkit, which we did in consultation with the parent and the school management team. And also just looking at the capital funding of the Inspiring Schools Children, where that funding went. So happy to take any questions on any of the aspects of this report.
Okay, thanks, Tony. And I'll open up to questions. Elizabeth first.
Comments actually really just in terms of the community safety strategy and the violence against women and girls strategy. I just think as a generalised board, I think it is really important that we split those two strategies up. It wasn't serving as well having them under one banner. So I'm delighted that the Alliance were happy to support that, and everybody else has been happy with that decision. And I thank you. And again on the progressing of the Batty Park lighting. I know we've had people who have really kind of expressed concerns, and it has been women in our community who've said, you know, going out jogging, going out with their dogs and things. So being able to progress measures that may help them feel safer is obviously really great. So thank you.
Thanks very much, convener. Again, not a question, just I'd like to record our appreciation for the development of support services for the local LGBTQ plus community under, what is it, 3.4, I think. Everybody involved should be commended for the work. I think it will be very, very much appreciated. Thank you.
Lynn?
Yeah, thanks. Just to kind of echo what Liz has said under both 3.10 and 3.11. It's just, obviously I've just got a quick question on 3.11. Great that the lighting's there. I'm hoping to see that is just a start of new and great that's come out of that survey. Out of the 662 responses, do we have a gender split of those responses to see if it's predominantly females that came back or if there were male respondents to?
Quick answer is I don't know. So I'll get certainly I'll speak to Hugh and see if we can get the gender split on that.
Great, thanks.
Francesca?
Thanks very much, convener. So there's so much in this report of really great work. So it's great to see it, and it's hard to single anything out. But just to comment on the Mentors and Violence Prevention Programme, I know Councillor Quinn is chair of the Women's Forum, has obviously been looking into that. So thanks to her for that, and also really welcome this. And thanks to everybody involved, and look forward to seeing more about the impact that that's going to have now that all the secondary schools are on board and involved. So it's just that usual reminder that until women and girls are fully safe, then they can't take their full place in society, and that school should absolutely be no different from that. And we know that sadly not much is changing across society in that respect, especially for young people who are at the hands of a lot of social media influencers, giving negative influences to them, unfortunate role models for young men. And I was going to say that misogyny can affect, negatively impact on 50% of all young people and across the population, but actually it will negatively impact on 100% of the population. So we do both boys and girls, young men and young women a disservice if we don't do something to tackle it. So thanks to everybody involved in this piece of work.
There's no other questions from the project. Can we agree the report?
Agreed.
Thank you. And I ask you to move on to agenda item number 6, which is the pilot provision of condoms in libraries. Ruth, we're going to start us off with this.
Yes, happy to. So there has been a rise in sexually transmitted diseases, especially in Glasgow, especially amongst young people. It's particularly a rise in gonorrhea. So NHS Glasgow and private NHS in Glasgow and Clyde and Public Health Scotland have worked together as part of the local implementation groups to see what we can do about this. And as part and I stress as part of the initiatives being taken forward, what they have developed is a free condom service. That is where any community organisation or community building can apply to do condom distribution outlets. And that's to make sure that people have a wide range of access to condoms, and to make sure that we're taking forward the message as well about STIs on the increase. It is part of the targeted campaign, and especially for young people, and there are adverts being put out by Public Health Scotland too. Our library service came to us and asked if they could be part of this initiative, and we work in partnership with Public Health and our health improvement leads, and they thought it would be a good idea that the libraries became part of the distribution. But we're not the first this time to do this. There are other councils doing this. Glasgow certainly are, and also Aberdeen. We would look to learn from them. And so this is asking just for us to be part of the Free Condom in Libraries project.
Okay. Right, open up for questions. Dave?
Okay, thanks very much. In principle, I don't have a problem with the recommendations before us. The director has said it was part of a targeted campaign. I just wonder if our library service was part of the education campaign as well as just handing it. I say just because I think the health board would agree it's an education campaign as well as making condoms freely available. So do we intend to do, I don't know, do we have information leaflets? Do we have campaigns within our libraries that could be educational as well as providing free condoms?
Yeah, and it is part of a wider, as I said, a wider campaign. So there's people tend to use leaflets less and social media more. So I know that Public Health Scotland have got social media going out about this as well. So, and I see PJ's on the call, but we have linked in through our own social media service to what GG&C are doing as well.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, can I bring Francesca in first of all, and then Natasha? Back to the room. Francesca.
Thanks very much, convener. So, as a former librarian, former libraries worker, I've long been convinced of libraries as a conduit for social change and progress, and don't need to know too much about what anyone's purpose is in sourcing condoms. And I know that libraries have long been community health pioneers in the ways you'd expect in terms of access to information, in terms of finding out more, and also for people who don't tend to use libraries as much as myself, there are also lots of ways that you wouldn't necessarily know about, the ways they tackle social isolation, having conversations with people, meeting a friend. And recently we heard a lot about Macmillan improving the cancer journey. We know that libraries have played a key role in that too. So would I have expected libraries to play a major public role in Inverclyde? Absolutely. So I hope that library staff are fully supported in this development, and really interested to hear what Ruth's saying there about libraries actually initiating this, and I hope that people make full and positive use of this service. I hope we see also a change in the figures, which are alarming, and also want to recognise the diverse nature of libraries' work and the service and facilities that they provide in our communities, such as this one. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Francesca. Can I bring Natasha in? And then Natasha first of all. Natasha.
Thank you. I was very much along the lines of what some of my colleagues have said, where I welcome bringing this in if it's going to help protect those who maybe have been exposed, especially with things like gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis. They're the most common STIs that we've got, and they're all preventable through the use of condoms for the prevention of sexually transmitted diseases. I know that previously, before COVID, there was also an increase in HIV across the west of Scotland as well. So I think by increasing accessibility, that this is really going to help more people be safe when having sex. I've got one question around 4.1, and it's around the testing. It says when the testing capacity recovers. I'm not sure if this is something that this committee can answer. If we can't answer it, can we maybe get in touch with the health board or Glasgow and Clyde in some way to get the answer? So it says when testing capacity recovers. So there's two questions there. One, it says late autumn is when they hope this to be the case. So can we get a firmed up timeline for this? And secondly, has this testing capacity issue actually contributed to an increase in rates? And how long has testing capacity been an issue for us? Once again, I appreciate that we may not be able to answer that because I'm very aware that that's to do with health.
I think I can answer it. I'll have a go anyway if that's okay for you, Karina. So we meet as a sexual health local implementation group, and part of that group is Sally for the Sexual Health Services. So and the SHLIG, as it's known, feeds into the Children's Services Plan, which eventually goes to the Alliance Board. So we will, so all of the work taken forward through that is taken through the SHLE. We kind of challenge each other, making sure that that we're doing everything we possibly can, and this will be on the action plan for the Sexual Health and Local Implementation Group through the plan.
Does that answer your question, Natasha?
Partially. I was just wondering, with regards to Sandiford, it would be helpful for us to understand the accessibility of those services locally. I know that in the past we didn't have a 5-day service. So once again, if STIs are an issue within our community, which appears it is, then it would be helpful to understand, are we actually ensuring that those young people have got access to services when they're available, and how long are they having to wait? But I can take that offline from here.
Thanks, Natasha. Obviously, the chair of the Alliance spoke here as well. This will be in the line as well. From our point, this is quite clear a public health issue, and the library service is playing its small part in this public health crisis. Those of us who lived through the AIDS deaths and remember how public health get prioritised, and we've probably seen that message slipping away over the years. But I'm just glad this good scale and the library service can play a small part in the fight. Can we agree the paper?
Agreed.
We've got a couple of items of noting for the IL paper, and we move on to agenda item number 7. Do you want to say anything for this paper?
Yeah, just a quick update on this paper for yourself, Convener. This is the annual report on the free products, part of the Act 21. You see we're making very good progress in allocating the services out within to the wider community. And I'd like to thank all our businesses, our schools and our local community centres who've engaged in this project. As you can see within the report, it's a full report based on it as we report back to Scottish Government. Overall, we've given out 202,386 products, which is the number of products within each box. So, and obviously under 4.1, we've now got a plan for moving forward within that. We are reviewing the online service as there's a cost for postal now, but we are engaging quite a lot around that at the present moment, but we continue to do the best to support the Act as it's been put in place. But happy to get any questions.
Thank you. I'll open up for any questions. Elizabeth?
Thanks very much, Convener. A couple of questions. It's brilliant that we're doing this. It's great. We've come so far. You know, we really have come so far, and it's not before time. As Councillor Armstrong reminded me the other day, she was campaigning for this when she was a student. Yes. Not yet, which one? I was going to say that. What the first question I've got is about new venues. If there are other community venues that want to come online in terms of being providers of products, how do they do that, first of all? And the second question, I'd like to talk about pants. I know that the pants are a product that are available through this scheme, and they're a great environmental solution to what we know is a lot of unnecessary waste. And I've had some feedback from some younger women who basically said they think the pants are a phenomenal idea. They see the environmental benefit of it. They're very keen to get on board, but the pants are not pants that they would wear. So is there a way for us to feed that back?
Good. You hear the two things. The first one about new venues coming stream. The second one.
Yeah, through the obviously anybody who's continue to want to get more of a supply or anything, they can come through the CLD office and the website. It's on the website. There is a page on the website, the council website, and we will be putting more information on that. We're trying to engage and design a wee bit better to get that clear information where you can get it. But there is a email address set up now, but also there's a phone number of the CLD service to do that. On any other, the pants element, that has been brought to us, Councillor, and we had a meeting with Hagels around that, so we're in discussion with them about that feedback that we got from some of the young people. So we and some of the older teenagers, and we are looking at that at the moment, and we're hoping to have a solution that's sold into if they can resource these elements of the product.
That's amazing, fantastic, great.
And hopefully, reiterating the point, we can see things like period of poverty being a thing of the past. So, can we agree with that? Agenda item number 8, Again, this will be for yourself, Hugh, on the Active Schools Performance 2022-2023 report.
Yeah, thanks very much, Convener. Again, this is just an update report that we do annually for Sports Scotland and obviously for committee. This is just, as you were, we're in partnership with Sports Scotland, the National Agency for Sport, who invest in the active schools teams. And now, again, we are performing very highly, quality within our schools and especially our primary schools. Still a lot of work to do in our secondary schools, but happy to take any questions on the report.
Thank you. I'll open up to any questions. I don't see any on the chat.
Thanks, Convener. I just got a bit confused about the figures in 4.1. If 83% of all primary children participated in an extracurricular club, does that mean that the proportion in the secondary schools is considerably lower? That's my first question. And the second question is, if it's lower in terms of being reported in this paper, is that because there are activities organised by PE departments that are not reported on here? Thank you.
You've got them 2 questions.
Yeah, for yourself, Convener. Yes, the primary school is very strong, and that's because a lot of the primary school children take part in the lunchtime and after schools. Secondary school, we only report on people, again, who's participating within lunchtime and after schools, but we're doing a lot in the schools around leadership. Sports Scotland don't record, so we are looking at that more in depth. We are over the average, but so there is about 11% of secondary school engaging at the present moment, and it's one of the things that's in our action plan going forward with Sports Scotland to look at. It has increased, but they don't record the leadership stuff, and there's quite a lot of leader. I think there's about 230 pupils in secondary schools taking part in leadership, especially S5, S6, and young leaders. But it's not recorded within the report. So we're having that dialogue with Sports Scotland to see why it shouldn't be recorded in that. But we are aware of the engagement with some of our secondary schools.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Convener. So it's just a question on 4.1, the first bullet point, and it's just to double check that the figure we're talking about participants, if that's counting Wee George as Wee George, or if it's counting Wee George as Wee George doing rugby and then football, or if it's counting Wee George as Wee George doing 17 sessions of football and 13 sessions of rugby, because they're 3 different measures. So just double checking that participants is the one person, one time is counted, rather than one person, 2 sports, or one person, 17 visits.
I've got Tony here as well, but I'll bring.
Yeah, Tony can take that one then.
It is something that's raised, and I know the Vice Convener Natasha raised this as well. So Tony, yeah.
It's the number of participants.
Right.
So if we want activities, we could probably get that to you at around 60% of training.
Thank you.
Can I bring Lynn in next, Lynn?
Yeah, thanks. I'm just under 4.1 as well, so I'm just trying to unpick the figures in there in terms of the female participation. So it says we've increased to 49%, which is great, it's increased, but it's 49% of what? So 83% of primary children are participating in sport, so is that 49% of that 83%? Or is it 49% of the primary and the secondary? So I'm just trying to get a wee bit more background on there. So I would expect at least 50% or females, and that makes any sense here. So I'm trying to unpick the 49%. What's that mean?
I'm actually going to bring you to that one. So Hugh's at the board, Tony's at the board, and Ruth wants something.
And I'm working for, if you can answer, but
yeah, but I've got a sheet. Sorry, apologies. There was to be another sheet. It just came in this morning from Sports Scotland. It gives us a breakdown of all of that. I certainly will send it out to the clerk to get it out to everybody. and it gives you a breakdown of all ages and female to male in primary and secondary. So it just actually come in this morning. We were chasing it for weeks, but it only came in this morning, and it is based on the in primary schools. Around the whole engagement is 52 female, 49 male. But I'll send you the data around if that's okay after our committee.
Yeah, if I get that at the table, because I think if we've got 50-50 in primary school, that's great, so boys and girls have got equal access to sport in primary, but then if that drops off in high school, what we're likely to see if they all drop off equally, or is more girls dropping off than boys, or vice versa? Thanks.
They do it through year groups, so in primary year to secondary year, so I can send that information out and give you it too.
Okay, and I'm going to bring Ruth in to finish that question off.
I'm working from memory from stats because I haven't seen, and Sport Scotland are normally very good at giving very detailed statistics. So, and it has been later in the So I think the first question is participants, that's individual participants, so that's not one person doing it several times. My understanding is that's different people. They don't have to do it a lot. It could be just one person doing it once, but it counts as participating. The percentage of females is just those who are participating. So if you look at the percentage of females participating in extracurricular activities, it's only taking cognizance of the ones who've taken part. So actually, there'd be another figure looking at the percentage of the total secondary school who didn't take part. Does that make sense? So it's two different figures. So, yeah. So you're absolutely right, Councillor Quinn. If you're saying, for instance, 1,000 children in secondary schools take part, and 50% of those were females, what was that over the total of the whole population, if that makes sense? I can get back to you on that.
Yeah, we're just looking for the gender split at the fall off, that they're equally falling off, not one more than the other.
From memory, they don't equally fall off. It tends to be there's a gender split, and we've been working very hard to try and address that.
Yeah, so it's just to kind of see that and then what measures are taking place to increase the female participation, which would thanks.
Okay, can I bring Natasha next then, Kim? Natasha?
Thank you. Yeah, I've asked before about the point that was made on 4.1, the first figure is individuals or not, and I think I've asked that every single year for the past number of years. So it'd be really helpful if just in future reports, if that is clear, so that we can understand that. I suppose the second point I've got to make is around, it's really important to recognise that this does not include young people who are doing sports or children that are doing sports out with the school or after school day, that there will be more young people that are engaged in sport than what's within this report. So you might have a young woman or a young man who does maybe football at a club that isn't linked to a school, or maybe they go to dancing or netball or basketball. I suppose what we need to be mindful of is this is school-linked sports rather than a whole area picture of every single pupil that participates in sport, just because the numbers will be higher for some of those demographics that we've got here, and I think that's important for us to recognise as a committee.
Okay, thanks, Natasha. Have we got any comments from any officers on that? No. I mean, the thing about, I suppose, the bullet point at 4.1 does say participants, but obviously it does open up the question. And now the committee knows that participants is individuals rather than number of visits or other visits. And we will double check that just to make sure we're not giving false information. And with that, can I ask Graham?
Yeah, thanks very much. To be acknowledged and a substitute here, this question may have been previously explored, if that's the right phrase. So this is the community section of this committee, and this is active schools funded by Sport Scotland. So does this report reflect only Inverclyde Council schools or the two independent schools within Inverclyde?
For yourself, Convener, this is only our own schools, not the other schools in Inverclyde. We do report them on some other things like the Duke of Edinburgh. We do some work with the other schools, but not in the active schools. There's a different funding agreement for the other schools, the private schools, out with Sport Scotland.
Okay, thanks.
Would you call them Hugh, the which school?
He called them private. I called them
Private
private.
No, that's fine.
Independent sectors, maybe normal.
Okay,
Yeah.
apologies.
No, no, I told you I was being a bit facetious actually. Oh, my apologies to you. Can we move, can we agree the report? It's one vote, but it's good report.
Agreed.
And with that, can we